Thank you guys for taking part in the session with me tonight. I'm really excited. I've got a lot of gratitude for this opportunity to share a few bits and pieces with you. I'm going to be sharing some techniques and hopefully some inspiration. So, it's so easy to find out this information on the internet, but I want to inspire you and, get you passionate about meditation so that you can start to hopefully make it part of your life and actually find out that it's not that difficult to do. And you're going to find out about some of the benefits that you're going to experience it firsthand doing some guided meditations with me. So I thought I'd give you a little introduction before we get started. I had this, I'm going to call it my awakening experience quite a long time ago in 1996. I was really into martial arts at the time. That was my main thing. And anyone that's in martial arts was likely to be a fan of Bruce Lee. So I was reading this book about Bruce Lee. It was called The Warrior Within. And I had this really strange experience while I was reading it. I had this kind of realization that I'm not my thoughts. I'm the observer of my thoughts, and my whole perspective like shifted, and it made me see my life in a different way, and it kind of put me on this different path, put me on this path of self development and this intrigue of spirituality. So really, I've been on that path for quite some time, and I've been all over the world training with different people and kind of doing different practices. So I teach yoga, obviously meditation and mindfulness. And I dated all these practices all the way back as far in history as we can go, all the way back to the ancient shamans, which could date back, 70,000 years plus. And they were doing forms of kind of yoga and meditation as well. So I've traced it all the way back to our ancient ancestors. And I've picked up lots of interesting techniques, lots of interesting ideas. I'm going to be sharing some of the best stuff with you guys. I want to keep it like really light-hearted because meditation, it can sometimes seem very serious and that can create barriers. And I want you to understand that anybody can meditate. You don't have to be a special kind of person. You don't have to spend months and months mastering different techniques. Anybody can meditate. We are going to meditate together tonight, and you're going to experience something. You will all have different experiences, but you will all experience a sense of calm and a sense of stillness. And we can have questions and answers at the end as well. You can type questions into the chat if there's something comes up and you want to ask. I can't guarantee that I'll answer it because I'll be concentrating on talking to you guys. So I'm going to save the main questions and answers to the end. If I do see a question pop up and I think I can answer it quickly and it's relevant, I will answer it. But don't worry if you ask a question and I don't get to it. I'll try to get to it at the end of the session. Um, I think that I haven't got like loads and loads and loads of techniques that I'm going to throw at you. I don't want to bombard you with lots of information because you can find that out yourself on the internet. The internet's a great tool for discovering that kind of stuff. But I am going to share with you my experience of my own meditations and what's worked for me. I'm going to share with you some of the things that have worked for the students I've worked with and people like Jonathan who I've worked with as well. Some of the things, the real stuff that actually really works. But I'm going to keep that really simple, so it's really easy to understand, nothing too esoteric, nothing too complicated. But the other things I'm going to bring to the table is like I said before, I want to make it light-hearted. It's not serious stuff. It can change your life, but I'm not going to go into it really dry and make it boring. I want it to be light-hearted. I'm going to share some funny stories with you, and I think the most important thing is I'm going to deliver it with passion, and I want you to find this passion for it as well. I want to inspire you. So by the end of this session tonight, I want you to feel like, wow, I can't wait to do this again. I want to make this part of my life. So that's my goals for the little session that we're going to do together today. So I've talked at you. I'd like now, if you can, to do a little breathing exercise with me. I call this my rebel reset. And it's not going to take too long, but you're going to experience something straight away and it's going to put you at rest. It's going to make you feel nice and calm. And you're going to really start to resonate with how easy some of these techniques are. So just before we get started, just a quick overview about some of the rules. If you have a mobile phone, you might want to put that to the side, maybe put it on mute or even turn it off, just so that you don't get distracted during the session. Hopefully, you will have told everybody, if you live with people, that you don't want to be disturbed for the next hour and a half or so. Have some headphones. If you do have some, it'd be really useful for when we do the guided meditation. It will enhance it. It's only optional, but it will make the meditations better. Um, and like it said in the email that you would have received, a blanket might be nice, or something to cover your eyes, a comfortable place to sit down. So, with that out of the way, with the boring stuff out of the way, let's get on to the good stuff. I'm going to invite you now to sit with your spine nice and straight. You can be sitting down in a chair, maybe, or on the floor. It doesn't really matter. And it doesn't matter too much about what your legs are doing. The spine is the important thing, because if you sit correctly with the spine, you will enable a deeper breath. And you'll have your head kind of centered over your spine here. So not kind of slouching your head forward or back, your head just centered over your spine. And I'm going to invite you to place your right hand on your belly and your left hand on your chest. And just place your right hand about where your belly button is. And just for the next few moments, what I'd like you to do is focus on breathing in and out through your nose if you can. If you have a blocked up nose, don't worry too much. You can breathe through the mouth, but the nose is preferred. And as you concentrate on breathing in and out through the nose, start to take that inhale into the belly. So as you breathe in through the nose, expand the belly, and you'll feel your right hand moving out as your belly expands. And then the belly will relax again on the exhale. Don't try too hard. Just be gentle with yourself, but just feel that as you're breathing in, the belly expands. As you breathe out, the belly relaxes. And the left hand on the chest isn't moving too much at all. So just try that for a moment, making sure your spine is straight. Hopefully breathing in and out through the nose. Now, we don't breathe this way too often. I'll come to that after we've done the practice together. So you may be at the moment experiencing like a feeling that it's unnatural breathing into the belly. And that's just because you're probably not used to using your diaphragm. So don't worry if it feels unnatural. Just try to push through it for now, breathing in through the nose into the belly. And then I'm going to guide you through just 5 simple deep breaths. So taking an inhale now through the nose, all the way down into the belly. Feel the belly expand. And then breathe out through the nose, let go. You may want to close your eyes as well. And taking an inhale through the nose into the belly. And then all the way out, relax your shoulders, relax your face. Nice, slow, deep breath. Breathing in through the nose, into the belly. And then breathe out, relax, let go. Breathe in, full, deep belly breath. And then breathe all the way out, relax. And breathe in, full, deep belly breath. And then the last one, let go, completely relax. And now I invite you to relax your hands back down into your lap or wherever they were before. You can open your eyes again if you want to. So we did 5 simple deep breaths together there, only 5 breaths. And we can measure our blood pressure, and there's lots of other tests we can do. And we know that only 5 deep breaths, breathing correctly into the diaphragm the way that we just did there, it activates our parasympathetic nervous system. I know that's a big word, but what that means is it activates your rest and restore state of being. So we go from being in fight or flight, where we might feel a little bit anxious. We feel like we're using our conscious part of our brain, problem solving, very conscious, rapid movement. And we slow everything down and we go into this state of rest and restore. Your blood pressure will reduce. Your sense of timing will change. Your perception of time will change. Everything will appear to slow down slightly. You'll just sense this grounding and this sense of calm simply from 5 deep breaths. And this isn't just wishful thinking. Again, there are studies that have been done where you can measure these responses, these physiological responses are happening just after 5 breaths. So obviously, We use the hands there for you guys who might not have done this type of practice before. And the reason we did that is just to check in to see whether we are breathing correctly into the belly. Mainly, we breathe shallow into the chest, and this stimulates our fight and flight response. This stimulates our sympathetic nervous system by breathing into the chest. That's why you'll find usually if you're very anxious or nervous, or if you get into a conflict, you'll catch yourself breathing quite rapidly and into the chest, and that exacerbates that even more. So we can change that simply by slowing down the breath. We slow down the mind, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system. And obviously, it goes without saying, if you do it for longer than 5 breaths, those benefits will be increased and prolonged. And this is a really good technique to use. By the way, you don't always have to use your hands. This is just for learning the technique. Once you know how to breathe correctly into the belly, you no longer have to use the hands. So don't, if you're in a situation and you want to do this and there's people around, you don't have to use the hands once you know how to do it correctly. So some of these circumstances you might want to use this. It might be if you suffer from panic attacks or panic disorders, for example. It's really good to slow down the breath, get some oxygen into the body. By breathing this way correctly into the diaphragm, we also oxygenate the blood. We fill the lungs full of blood as well. Some good circulation going. So it's really good for things like panic disorders and stress and anxiety. It's really good if you've got some decision making to do, let's say in a work situation, or if you've got maybe a difficult conversation on the phone or with a work colleague or with a partner. Sometimes we get caught up in that fight or flight response where, you can't get your words out quick enough and you can't say all the things that you need to get out. And it's just simply by slowing down the breath. As I said before, you slow down your mind and your sense of timing will change. So that's the technique. I call it the rebel reset. The technical term, if you like, is called diaphragmic breathing, if you want to look it up yourself. Now, I'm going to share a story with you now of how I use that technique. It's a true story. This happened probably about a year ago. I used to run a yoga studio prior to all the COVID stuff. And I was on the way to teach a class at my yoga studio and I was running a little bit late. So I thought I'd take a little shortcut. And there was a car stopped right on the little side road shortcut that I took. So I had to stop behind this car. And two cars had met like head to head. And none of them wanted to give way to each other. So we were just kind of stuck really in gridlock. And there were traffic building up behind me. And I was thinking, why won't this guy who's on his own, why won't he just move into this space so we can get past? So people started bibbing and there's all this chaos going on. And the car that was in front of me, they weren't doing anything. So I decided, I'll get out my car and see what's going on, see what the problem is. So as I got out my car, I approached this car that was blocking the way. And I was like, oh, might have some trouble here. It was this like big souped up GTI with big alloys and blacked out windows. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to encounter here. So as I approached the car, the guy wound the windows down. He already started shouting abuse at me, like, what do you want? What do you want? And I said, kept it polite to start with. Do you mind reversing into this space here so we can get past? And he started swearing at me. He was like, don't effing tell me what to do, this, that, and the other. And I said, oh, no problem. Just if you don't mind reversing. And he was like, you reverse. And I was like, well, we can't reverse here because we were in gridlock. There's all these, there's probably about 15 cars by this time. So I'm like, look, it wouldn't be a problem if you don't mind just reversing into there for me. And anyway, he starts getting more aggressive, shouting, swearing at me. And, I'm sure many of you have been in that situation. Doesn't matter how calm you are, you think you can be in the moment. My blood started to boil, my adrenaline kicked in, and I was like wanting to meet his aggression. I was kind of wanting to match his level and his volume. And what caught my attention was this is really funny, at the side of the road. This is just by where I teach my martial arts classes. People had stopped to see what was going on, and that people had started to film it on their mobile phones. And that kind of activated something in me like, oh God, I need to really conduct myself properly here. This could go seriously wrong. So I took a little step back from the car and I took 5 deep breaths. I literally did the rebel reset. And what that did, it immediately put me in a different frame of mind. So instead of like wanting to grab him in the car and shake him and say, just reverse into there, would you? I changed my tactics. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to my car. I'm going to put my radio on. I'm going to put my feet up and I'm just going to sit and wait because I've got all day. And as I turned around to go back into my car, he then decided to reverse into the space, and we all went past. So that is a can guarantee that's a true story that really happened. And I even surprised myself with how powerful that technique was. It really did on the spot put me into a different frame of mind. And as I said, it really changed my perception. And I went from being like feeling aggressive to just feeling very like in control, um, and very assertive. So I can vouch the technique definitely does work. So moving on from that, I love sharing these stories with you guys because I like to keep it real, and I'd like to think that some of these techniques and insights that I'm sharing with you are practical things that you can put to use in everyday situations. You don't have to go off and meditate in a cave. You don't have to go off to the mountains. These are techniques that you can bring into your work life. You can bring them into your personal life. They could, relationships, being calmer. There's so many benefits to these techniques. So I'm going to get right on now to like, what is meditation? What is mindfulness? Are they the same thing? Are they different? What are the benefits? What are some of the techniques between them? And to begin with, just so I can paint like a really clear picture for you, I'm going to give you some very simplistic definitions of meditation, and then a simplistic idea about what mindfulness is. And then I'm going to go into a bit more detail. So this is really, I suppose, oversimplifying a little bit. That meditation is simply just the art of stilling your mind, and just hold that as like a just thought, like, what does that actually mean? How can I still my mind, and what might I be able to achieve if I could do that? So meditation, in the simplistic term, is just being able to still your mind. And mindfulness is, again, simplifying it, just paying attention on purpose. In any given moment, we are either lost in thought or we are being mindful. So to be mindful is just to realize that, oh, actually, I can pay attention. Oh, where is my awareness right now? Is it lost in thought, or can I take a step back from it? So that is real, it's just kind of simplistic way of explaining meditation and mindfulness. Moving on to a little bit more detail about meditation. And I want to give you something maybe a little bit different, rather than, well, you all know, I'm sure, that meditation is beneficial for your health because it makes you less stressed and all the kind of things that your doctor might tell you. But, I like to share some, what else can it do? What cool things can I do with it? What kind of states of consciousness might I be able to achieve? So I like to think about meditation as training your mind, which might sound a little bit odd, but everyone is so used to, we go to the gym to train our bodies, and that's a given. Everyone, like, yeah, posting a selfie on Instagram, check my biceps out, check out my six pack. But we're a little bit more skeptical about that, training your mind. What does that mean exactly? Well, we're training our mind. We are practicing exercises and techniques over and over and over again. In a way, we're building up the muscle memory. We're training our awareness, which we're going to get onto later. We're going to experience that and what that might feel like. We can experience deeper states of consciousness. And this might sound like we're heading into esoteric stuff now. Like, what does that mean exactly? All it means is we're changing our state of consciousness. And if that doesn't seem clear to you, what that means is every night that you go to sleep, every night that you go to bed, you change your state of consciousness. When you were in the sleep state, you will altered your state of consciousness, and your brain waves will be much slower, and everything will have slowed down. Your heart rate will have reduced. But we can do that by training the mind, training our awareness, altering our state of being by fully getting immersed in the meditation. And what happens when we achieve that state of consciousness is we actually achieve, believe it or not, our natural state. It is our natural state to be in this state of calmness, in this state where you will experience peace, and hopefully you will experience love. You will experience just this profound sense of everything right now is okay. But in our busy societies, we've all got jobs, we all have to work, we all have to earn money, and there's, manage all these different things that are going on. We forget. We're always caught up in thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, worrying about what happened yesterday. that very rarely are we present in the moment and we're taking a step back to be nice and still and quiet, where we realize actually this is my natural state. So meditate in the meditation, what we're doing is we're just coming back to our natural state of being. And that for me is exciting because everyone can do that, because it's my natural state and it's your natural state. You don't have to be gifted, you don't have to have your pineal gland opened up or anything like that. It's just coming back to your natural state. And this is what we're going to do together tonight. Some of the things that I tend to find, especially if you're new to meditation, is that we can end up trying too hard in the meditation, and we want to have maybe a real profound experience. Or another common thing is we want to stop our thoughts completely. And that's not going to happen. If you have that as one of your goals, then good luck with that, because we're, in a meditation, you will still be thinking. It's almost impossible to stop your thoughts. Very, very, very hard to do that. But all we're doing in the meditation is being aware of our thoughts. So the thoughts will still be there, but we're not going to be troubled by them. It's like we're going to observe them and let them go, not get caught up in the story of your thoughts. And a little analogy that I like to use, which I think really, really helped me in my early days of researching meditation and experiencing different types of meditation, is the idea of training a puppy. So if you imagine you've had a little baby puppy, hopefully you wouldn't be shouting at it and giving it a boot, and like when it doesn't do what you want, you wouldn't be harsh with it. You would have to be very gentle, and you'd tell a puppy to stay, and you'd say it calmly and gently. And of course the first time you do it, the puppy's just going to be up and running around, and you'd have to bring it back. Okay, stay, and you have to have that patience and that gentleness. And eventually, after a couple of weeks, you say stay, and the puppy might stay a little bit longer. And the longer that you remain patient, and the longer that you are able just to keep coming back to that with a sense of kindness and a sense of, I'm not trying too hard. I'm just, I'm aware it's a puppy. I need to be gentle. That's the way to approach your meditation. Um, you will really benefit from it a lot more, rather than being like, I definitely want to stop thinking. I'm fed up of, my thoughts racing. I have to set a realistic goal. So just the idea of training the puppy, I feel, is really, really important. And just again, I guess holding it, the intention that you are coming back to a natural state. You're not trying to achieve anything special. You're not going to try to levitate or anything. You're just coming back to your natural state of being. With a good meditation practice, as you get used to practicing it, what will happen? You will transcend your current busy mind, the mind that you usually have when you're in a work situation, for example. You will transcend that, and you will find this inner peace and this stillness, and you will recognize that peace and stillness as perhaps like an old friend. Like you'll go, oh, that's where it was. It was there already. It's not like you're trying to go out there to get this stillness and this peace. This stillness and peace is already there. We just have to strip away some of the other things. And you'll, for me, when I find it, I feel like, oh, yeah, there it is. It was there all along. And that's, again, hopefully what I want you to experience with me tonight. Meditation can also be beneficial for lots of other things. For example, goal setting, especially if you use visualization techniques. I'm aware that not everybody can visualize. Some people actually have the inability to create pictures in their head. I forget what the technical term is now. So I'm aware that some people can't create pictures, but you can still visualize in the sense of you can imagine feelings, sensations in the body. You can listen to your inner voice. There are many more ways of visualizing. The most powerful form is creating pictures if you're able to do that. And there's a study that I want to share with you. It's in a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And the study was on 3 groups who were looking at gaining muscle. And in the 3 groups, the first group did 6 weeks of training. And in that 6 weeks of training, they were given a weight training coach. They did heavy weightlifting, and they ate a specially high protein diet. In the second group, they spent that time with a fitness coach for 6 weeks, and they did like sort of cardio stuff, jogging and high intensity kind of stuff. And the third group, they didn't do any exercise at all. They didn't do any special diet. They spent 6 weeks with a meditation coach, like a real professional visualization meditation coach. And the coach talked them through every day very specific visualization meditation. So it was along the lines of, okay, imagine gripping your hand around the barbell now, and you're contracting the hands, you're squeezing your hands. Now you're contracting your biceps as you lift that bicep curl. And it was very, very specific. They were asked to create these pictures in their mind. Now, amazingly, this sounds like absolute stuff of science fiction, but you can look up this study yourself. You can check out the work of Joe Dispenza as well. The weight training group, they all gained muscle. Obviously, they were given a specific task of weightlifting and the high protein diet. The second group, who were doing the aerobic work, they actually lost a little bit of muscle, they lost a little bit of weight. The third group, who did the visualizations, they gained muscle. They didn't do any exercise or any special diet. Okay. Almost as much muscle as the guys who did the weight training. And even more freaky than that, they kept their gains for the same amount of time as the first group. This is where I get really excited, because this is the power of the mind, and this is the kind of things that eventually with practice you can activate through your meditation, through training your mind and through training your awareness. And I know that it sounds really freaky, and I know it sounds too good to be true, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that you can just go there tonight and sit and go, okay, I want to get muscly, or I want to lose weight. It's not exactly that easy. Don't forget, these guys spent 6 weeks doing this with a specialist coach, but it can be done. It's a very similar to the placebo effect that I'm sure a lot of you know how that works. The power of the mind is amazing. So the thing to remember before I move on to what mindfulness is that it's a practice. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go away from your meditation thinking, oh, I don't feel like I achieved anything with that today. I even now have days like that when I just stop meditating because I don't feel in the zone or whatever. You know, we all have good and bad days. Don't feel it needs to be perfect. Your meditation is a practice, something to do often. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on what mindfulness is. And as I said, it's simply paying attention on purpose. And we get so caught up in things, don't we? And something to ask yourself is, like, do you think you are your thoughts? It might sound like an odd question, but from my experience of working with people who are new to meditation and mindfulness, I had this realization that a lot of people have never asked that question. We quite often think we are our thoughts. So if your thoughts are along the lines of, oh, I'm rubbish at this, I can't do that, I'm hopeless, no, why do all bad things always happen to me? Then that's the reality that you're creating. You think that you are those thoughts, but all they are thoughts. And by being mindful, what we can do, we can come into the present moment and see our thoughts for what they are, just simply thoughts. They are not the reality. But if you think them long enough, you will create your own reality, which we're going to get onto a little bit later towards the end of the session of how to do that and what that means exactly. But just for now, in terms of mindfulness, you can be mindful in any given moment, and you can go from a state of being lost in thought, thinking you are your thoughts, to, wow, I'm not my thoughts. I'm the observer of the thoughts. And I have a decision now to make. Can I change my thoughts? Can I start saying, instead of saying I can't do that, can I start saying, how can I do that? That's a really powerful use of language. A lot of us might get caught up in language like, I can't do it, which isn't very useful. We can easily change that language into, how can I do it? And you will achieve that by being mindful in any given moment. You can be mindful in so many different ways in your daily life. You can eat mindfully, you can wash the dishes mindfully, and all it is about bringing yourself back to the present moment again and again and again. And what you'll realize with practice of training yourself to come back to the present moment is that in the present moment, everything is okay. All of your fears are coming from things that are either about to happen immediately or things that are about to happen in a week or a month or a year. They're all things that are going to happen. And if you're sad about something, I am generalizing a little bit here, but generally, if you're sad or depressed about something, they tend to be things that have happened in the past that you might be dwelling on. And if you constantly dwell on them, you're going to end up making yourself feel a little bit sad or a little bit depressed. If you're able to bring yourself to the present moment and really look, you can see that all we ever have is the present moment. We don't even really have this body. This body is a temporary thing. We have it for, 60, 70, 80 years plus, all being well, hopefully. The things that you own, they're just material things. They're going to waste away one day. They might be taken away. They're just temporary. We don't actually really own them. All we ever have is the present moment. And I think that is a very grounding, humbling experience to consider that. Just to consider that all we have is now. What can I do now? Because if you look after now, tomorrow will look after yourself. Look after itself. I'm going to share that with you at the end of the session because I want you to go away with that. If you look after now, tomorrow will look after itself. That's a very profound thought for you there. Another way of looking at it might be, a lot of us have goals, and goals are good. I have many goals myself. But if you are only chasing a destination all the time and you're only looking at the end result, you miss out on the journey. And that's another way of looking at mindfulness, is that it's about enjoying the journey, enjoying all of the ups and all of the downs. And if you're able to experience joy and find something good in the times where you're having a bad time, even better. And you can do that with training as well. You can accept times of hardship just by being mindful, just by really looking at it and saying, now in this present moment, all is good. So, just to summarize with the meditation and mindfulness, they are separate things, but you can have mindfulness meditation, and that is simply again being in a seated position or a lying position, doing like a guided meditation, or you can do it internally, but bringing yourself specifically back to the moment again and again and again, training your mind to come back into the present moment. So that would be classed as a mindfulness meditation. So I think that's why it's a common question that I get asked: is meditation and mindfulness the same thing? They are separate, but you can bring them together as well. They work together. So I can't wait for you to actually experience this with me now. We're going to do a guided meditation together now. So just for the next few moments, take your time. I'm going to invite you to either sit down with a straight spine. It would be probably better if you have the opportunity to lie down. And at this point, if you have headphones, put your headphones on if you haven't already. And just while you're settling down, I'm just about to get some music. I'm going to play some music in the background. I'm going to guide you for the next 15 to 20 minutes on a meditation that I created, where we're going to experience two forms of meditation. We're going to start with focused awareness, and then we're going to go into open awareness. You don't need to worry too much about the technical terms just for now, but you will experience two different kinds of meditation in this session. You should feel a sense of calm and peace by the end of this session together. So I can't see you. You don't have your webcams on. So I'm hoping that you have managed to settle down. Just take the next few moments to make sure that you're really comfortable. The idea in the meditation is you will be nice and still. So if you don't feel very comfortable at the moment, just take a time to fidget around, get nice and comfortable, lie down. You don't need to adopt any specific type of posture, really. Just a position where you're comfortable and your spine is straight. Just begin to completely relax your body. Just allow your head to be heavy. And allow your shoulders to relax down away from your ears. And if you're lying down, relax them down into the floor. Notice any areas of tension in the body. And if you feel any tension or tightness, you can exhale into that area and just let go. Just let that tension go. If you can, breathe in and out through the nose. As I said earlier, the mouth is okay, but the nose would be better if possible. Just going to continue completely relaxing the body for the next few moments, choosing some of the areas where we usually hold tension. So for now, take your awareness to your belly and see if you can just release your belly. There's no need to hold it in or tense it. Just allow your belly to be soft so that you can take a full deep breath into the belly. Making sure the shoulders are relaxed down away from your ears. It's the second area of tension. Relaxing down the part between the shoulder and the neck, just allowing it to be soft. Relaxing your face, relaxing your frown. And can you relax your jaw and relax the tongue down away from the roof of your mouth? So you're starting to feel completely, fully relaxed. And I invite you now to take your awareness to your breathing. Just hold your attention there on the breath, focusing on the inhale through the nose into the belly. Being aware of the exhale, releasing the belly. Gently bring your awareness back to the breath again and again, and be aware that the thoughts will still be there. And when the thought comes, no need to stop and analyze it or try to stop it. Just allow it to happen and simply come back to the breath. Let the thoughts float past like clouds, and you are the observer. You might start to feel that you are the observer of the breath, perhaps. You can start to really focus on the breath by being aware of every part of the breath. As you inhale, feel the coolness on the nostrils as you breathe in. Following that breath into the nose and the throat, into the chest. And taking the breath gently down into the belly. And exhaling, releasing the belly, following the breath back up into the chest and the throat, up into the nose. And when the breath leaves the nostrils, you might notice the breath feels a little warmer on the way out. Guiding the breath. You're making the breath deep and rich and long. And if you still need some help focusing on the breath, if you feel like you're getting distracted, that can happen. Don't worry. Be gentle with yourself. Training the puppy. If you're getting distracted or you're getting lost in thought, as you inhale, simply say to yourself inside your head, breathing in, and know that you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, internally say to yourself, breathing out, and know that you're breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Be with the breath. Again, like training the puppy, just make that breath deep and rich and long. And now, I invite you to take your awareness to the sensation of your body and the connection between your body and the floor. Just be aware of the sensation of lying on the floor. Feel the sensation. Does it feel hard? Does it feel soft? Warm or cold? And now, could you take your attention to the space around your body? And let the breath just happen naturally. There's no need to be worried about the breath anymore. No need to control. Bring your attention, your awareness to the space surrounding your body. And if you're able to maintain your awareness to the space around your body, you will see and feel that the breath will just start to happen all on its own. You are no longer controlling the breath. The breath is happening of its own accord. The miracle of the body. It doesn't need you to get in the way. It can do it all on its own, and you're just surrendering, letting the breath happen. You might feel a sensation that like you are being breathed. Perhaps you might say the universe is breathing you. And bring your attention, bring your awareness back to the space around your body. Can you become aware of the space below your feet? And now, can you become aware of the space each side of your body? And now, can you become aware of the space above your head? And now, can you become aware of the space in front of your body? Now, can you become aware of the space between your body and the edges of the room? Let your awareness fill that space between your body and the edges of the room in space. And now, can you become aware of awareness itself? Can you simply just become aware that you are aware? You are not the thoughts, you are the awareness behind the thoughts. Be kind to yourself, be gentle, and just see if you can notice that you are aware of your own awareness. See what that feels like. You are this pure awareness. And this awareness has no boundaries, limitless, effortless. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to try to achieve. You're already here. That stillness, that love is here in this state of awareness. Now, can you take your awareness to the center of your heart, to your heart center, the center of your body, in the middle of your chest? And see if you can cultivate a feeling of gratitude. What can you be grateful for? Maybe you're grateful for something, a physical thing, something that you own, or a person, or an achievement, or maybe something just as simple as your next breath. can be grateful for each and every breath. And feeling this sense of gratitude, allow it to flood your body. Feel that gratitude. Allow your face to be soft. You might even want to bring a soft, gentle smile to your face. But feel an inner smile, that sensation that you feel when you smile. Allow your body to feel that inner smile and that gratitude. And now, as you bring your awareness back into your body, feeling the sensations of your body, and with each exhale, allowing your body to feel connected back to the floor. Notice the connection between your body and the floor. With each exhale, bringing your awareness back into the room. Feeling grounded back down to the floor or the chair, wherever you're lying or sitting. You can gently start to bring some movement back into your body, just gently to start with, maybe by wiggling the fingers and toes. And perhaps it might feel nice to have a little stretch, perhaps stretching your arms out, or even having a yawn. And taking all the time you need, there's no rush. When you feel ready, you can slowly start to open your eyes. Shortly going to get back onto the talk, but I'm just going to give you another short moment just to come back. You can continue to lie down if you want to, or you can come back to where you were before. There's really no need to rush. So I really enjoyed guiding you on that, and I had a lot of gratitude for the opportunity to share that with you. I'd like to find out some feedback from you at the end of the session, how that felt for you. As I said, we started the meditation by focusing on the breath and bringing our attention to it again and again and again. This is called focused awareness. And in that part of the meditation, we were actually, in a way, doing the breath. We were making it happen, and we were controlling that. We were controlling how deep we made it. We were controlling where it went in the body. And then what we did then, we went into this more open awareness meditation where we started to be aware of initially the space around our body, to eventually just being aware of awareness itself. That's an open awareness style of meditation. And the idea I had behind it, that we go from this like applying effort to having no effort whatsoever into this effortless meditation, where you can just surrender and everything in that moment is all okay. There's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. You can achieve this state of being just simply by focusing on your sense of awareness. It's nice to have a guided meditation. There are plenty of them out there, but you can train yourself to do that just by being still and quiet. So I hope you have received some benefits from that. I hope you feel nice and calm and relaxed now. I'm going to go and give you some instructions, some clear instructions on what to do if you wanted to enter like a really deep state of meditation. We were just around the time then that meditation was about 20 minutes. And that's about the right time where we do start to, if you're doing the meditation and you've been practicing it a little while, we can start to alter our brainwave state where we slow our brainwaves down and we might enter the delta brainwave state perhaps eventually, where the brainwaves slow down so much that we almost are on the border of sleep. Now, one of the kind of problems, if you like, don't really want to give it that word. One of the things that might happen in your meditation when you're practicing is you might end up just falling asleep. And there's no real big issue with that. It'd be a nice way of getting to sleep if you suffer from insomnia, perhaps. But when you're asleep, you're no longer meditating, you're in a different state of consciousness. So the idea with meditation is getting to that slow state of being just before the sleep state, where your body will feel like it's asleep, but your mind is just still very slightly active. And in this deep state of meditation that we can achieve with practice, some people are even sometimes able to go into the theta brainwave state, which is a state of hypnotization where you've been hypnotized. And that's when some real amazing things can happen. We can access our subconscious. So, one of the reasons that you might want to do a deep meditation would be to reprogram yourself, reprogram some of your beliefs. I don't want to spend too long on this subject because it's a very in-depth subject, but basically our subconscious governs most of our behavior and most of our beliefs. Believe it or not, we live 95% of our life from the subconscious. That's 95%. That's pretty much all the time. The subconscious is like the autopilot. Our conscious mind is the mind that's making decisions and you're aware of what's going on. That's only 5% of the time that we're in that state. 95% of the time we are working from the subconscious. And why that is actually, you look at it, it's been quite frightening really, is because our subconscious beliefs have been programmed into us, and they've been programmed into us early on in our life between the ages of when we're born up until the age of 7. Those children and us, we're naturally in the theta brainwave state. So when we're young children, we are literally being hypnotized. We are being programmed with our beliefs. So a lot of the beliefs and ideas that you have right now are already being pre-programmed into you from when you were a child. And unless you do anything really specific to change those will be beliefs that you will hold for the rest of your life, unless something dramatic happens, or as I said, you do something intentionally to change that. And some of the things that you can do are being hypnotized, going into a very deep state of meditation, and repetition as well. So things like affirmations. That's why affirmations are so powerful. I know they're very new agey and might just seem like woo woo kind of stuff, but they do work because it's about repetition. And repetition can eventually reprogram your subconscious. So to do that, some of the ideas of getting into a deeper state of meditation is to make sure that you do your meditation for long enough. You need to be kind of around the 20-minute mark is when you really start to go into a deeper state of relaxation. Brain waves will be slowing down even more. Remember to be kind to yourself, that don't push it. It's not like you're doing a workout in the gym. You don't have to be hard. You don't have to be tough on yourself. You surrendering to it basically. You're going to stay focused on something, whether that be the breath, something as simple as the breath, whether that be my favorite type of meditation is being aware of awareness itself. And again, that can be a very, I don't know, maybe, I don't know whether esoteric is the right word, but a very unusual concept if you've not ever thought about that before. What does that mean exactly? It just means that you are not getting lost in thought. You are aware that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just happening, and that you are the observer behind the thoughts. That aware, there is this like an awareness that is aware. of your thoughts. Okay, so in the meditation, if you could, that's my favorite type of meditation, being aware of my own awareness. You would look at achieving that state for longer and longer and longer. The first time you do it, you might only be able to do it for a second, a couple of seconds. And just going back to the analogy of training the puppy, it was, a little bit longer the next day, a little bit longer again the next day, until eventually you're able to maintain that awareness for longer and longer. Some other things to bear in mind would be the location or the environment in where you're going to meditate. Um, that you're going to do, obviously, I mean, it's common sense really that you're going to meditate somewhere that's quiet, where you're not going to be disturbed. There's nothing worse than being 20 minutes into your meditation and the dog's coming to jump on you, or the kids are screaming and shouting and throwing things at you. Um, you want to be somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed, somewhere where you can get nice and comfortable as well. That leads on to the next thing, which is about your posture. There are dozens and dozens of different postures, like lotus pose. They use the traditional pose. You see the yogis sitting in that very tight cross-legged position, and these are all beneficial things. But you don't have to worry too much about what your legs are doing or what anything else is doing. The important thing to remember is always the spine, that the spine is straight. And you can do that sitting in a chair, sitting back in a chair, as long as the spine is straight, lying down. You can do standing meditation, which I do sometimes as well. But if you want to go into that deep, deep state of meditation, I'm going to suggest that you do it lying down, just because there is a tendency to just drift off into sleep. And if you're sitting, you don't want to kind of fall, or especially if you're standing. So I would suggest for the deep meditation state that you do it lying down, get really comfortable, maybe use a blanket. And these two next tips that I'm going to give you kind of come hand in hand. Before you even do the meditation, set a very clear intention about what you want to do. There is a tendency sometimes to just say, "Oh, well, I'm sitting a little bit quiet now. I may as well just do a meditation and just go into it." Set yourself one or two clear intentions, like, I intend now to fully immerse myself into this meditation. I'm going to do this deep meditation where I alter my state of consciousness. Set a very clear intention about what it is. It might be like, I want to meditate to go within, where I find the answer to a question that's been troubling me lately. I want to go in and just find a state of quiet and peace. Set the intention before you go into the meditation. So that's to do with the mindset. The mindset is very important, and it's also important to keep, as Jonathan said at the start, keep an open mind about it. Like, you might go into your meditation with some, ideas. That meditation is just, it's just sitting around doing nothing. You have to have the mindset that, this is something that's going to bring you joy. Your meditation should be about experiencing joy. It shouldn't be something like, oh God, I've got to do my meditation now. I don't feel like doing it. It's a joyful experience. Genuinely can't wait to do my meditation, because I feel the benefit of it. I love the process of it. I'm not, like I said earlier, with the mindfulness practice, I'm not looking for the state of being that I'm going to achieve at the end of the meditation. Of course, that's nice. I'm enjoying the whole process of the meditation. I'm enjoying being in a meditative state. And then I will reap the reward at the end of the meditation, when I feel really calm and I feel that clarity at the end. Some of the things that you can do when you're in that deep state of meditation is to study your thoughts again. That knocks away the idea that we are somehow trying to stop our thoughts. If you are trying to stop your thoughts, you're definitely going to struggle. You can, in the deep meditative state, study your thoughts, and then you can go beyond your thoughts. And again, what I mean by that is you can realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing the thoughts. You go beyond the thoughts and you see the thoughts for, or I see them sometimes as almost like funny, like, oh, I can't believe that I'm thinking that. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. That thing that I thought was real. Do you know, we all know the story of with the Wizard of Oz? They're marching off to see this wizard, and everyone's scared of him because he's got this big booming voice, and everyone living in fear. Just turned out to be a dwarf with a megaphone. It wasn't real. It was an illusion. And quite often, our thoughts are like that. thoughts are like that big scary wizard with the booming voice. They're not real, guys. Hate to tell you. Another little thing I want to share with you, just to give you a different perspective on that. There was a guy that used to, he was a doctor actually, but he used to go and hypnotize people as like an act. He used to go to theaters and do this as part of his show. And he had this profound moment one day when he was actually doing a TV show where he was going to hypnotize people, and there were other doctors who were skeptical that he was actually hypnotizing these people, and they were going to check in and see whether it was a fake thing, whether it was like it was as a setup and they were paid actors, or whether he was actually hypnotizing these participants. And here, what happened: the participants were in the changing rooms getting ready for the TV show, and the doctor who was going to hypnotize them came in so he could talk to them through what he was going to do. And one of the participants was had a phobia of spiders, and the doctor brought in this. It was an empty box, there was nothing in there, and he was talking to the participants saying, okay, so in the show later, this box is going to have tarantulas in it. And what happened? The guy was, he was attached to these electrodes that were measuring his brain waves and his heart waves. They started going crazy. They started going beep 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 beep. And what the doctor realized in that moment is the guy wasn't scared of spiders. He was scared of the thought of spiders, and that is very different when you have that perception. And these are the type of realizations you can have in a meditation. Just consider that for a moment. The guy wasn't scared of spiders. There wasn't a spider in that box. There was not a spider to be seen. He was scared of the thoughts of spiders. And it's just a thought. It's not real. Remembering to get into your deep meditative state. One last thing, that this meditative state is your very nature. It's not a special state of being that you need to try to go out there to get. You don't have to be a special kind of person. You don't have to live in a cave. It's your very nature. You can achieve it very easily once you lower those boundaries. And as I said, as you bring you joy, the meditation should be very joyful. So I'm excited. At the end of the class, I'm going to do another shorter meditation with you, a different type of meditation. I'll get to that shortly. I'm just aware of the time. Ran a little bit over where I wanted to be. So I'm just going to give you another couple of ideas of practical things. I told you earlier and promised you that we're going to be doing some practical things. What are some of the things you can do daily to live a more mindful life? I already mentioned earlier mindful eating. I ask this question now, like, how many times do you sit down and really enjoy your meal and really take time to chew your food, thoroughly chew it? And as you're chewing, like, really notice how those flavors are being released, notice the textures, notice the different sensations, notice the smells. I mean, be honest with me now, do you do that? Because even I don't do that. When I do make a special effort to do that, it changes my whole experience of eating. It's like, wow, why did I forget to do this again? You can have such a pleasant experience, and you were just in the moment again and again and again, enjoying every bite, enjoying every chew of food, releasing all those flavors. And again, another little very short story to share with you, something that again, it happened probably about a year and a half ago. Is at the time I was doing a lot of workshops like this, like face to face, going into businesses, and I used to do this with a friend as well, who also taught meditation and mindfulness. And we were doing the morning session, and we'd done some exercises similar to what we've done today. And we had like a very short break. We only had like 20 minutes to go and get some food and stuff. And I was with my friend, and we rushed out. And he got this orange, and he tore the skin off this orange, and he just like scoffed it in his mouth. And I said to him, "Are you going to eat anything?" And he looked at me, he was like, "What?" I said, "Are you going to eat anything?" And he was like, "What are you talking about? Just had that orange, didn't I?" And I went, "Well, yeah, well, you put it in your mouth, but you didn't eat it." And it was just, again, it was sort of a funny thing. I was just taking a mickey out of him, really. It was just, literally been 10 minutes ago talking about being mindful, and there he is shoving this orange down his neck without even really thinking about it. And it really will change your experience. I know this from experience, that he didn't taste that orange. It was just something that he put in his throat. Just simply by setting the intention that you are going to pay attention on purpose to what you eat, Maybe pay attention to something as simple like, a boring task like washing the dishes. I mean, who wants to do that? But you know what? You can turn that into a pleasant experience because you feel the temperature of the water in your hands, feel the texture of that smooth plate, and then you pick up that bowl and that's got like a rougher texture, and you're like exploring, you're feeling all these different sensations, different textures. Because otherwise, all you're going to be is you're going to be lost in thought, aren't you? You're going to be like, "Oh God, I've got to do that meeting tomorrow, and I haven't paid that bill yet." And you know, and yesterday I made a right fool of myself saying that joke towards people, and they didn't get it. You'd be lost in the future or in the past, but actually, right now, although you're doing a boring task, it can be quite pleasant. You can be mindful over even washing the dishes, experiencing all those different sensations. So you can bring mindfulness to so many areas in your daily life, and I encourage you to do that. And what will happen is if you apply a little bit of discipline to that, in other words, that you maybe set a reminder on your phone to be really mindful, maybe put some post-it notes around your office, around your home, just that you might need a little bit of a reminder. But what will happen after like roughly around 20 to 21 days, you will create a new habit. Being mindful will start to become a habit. It's a known fact that whatever you continuously do for 21 days or more, well, you'll start to form a new habit. You'll start to create new neural pathways in your brain, and it will become something that you instinctively do. So I encourage you to initially like set a reminder on your phone or make some notes so that you can remind yourself to do it, and just be mindful of the simple little things. Just another quick. I was going to spend a little bit longer on this part now, but I'm aware that we haven't got that long left. So, one of the favorite things that I like to do is talk about mind mastery. Like, what does that mean? How can I master my mind? And again, we can do that by engaging that meditative state, getting into that state of calm, that state of peace. And what the way I look at it, I love ancient teachings. I like going back and studying the ancient yogis and what they talked about, shamanism and Buddhism and all these things. I'm not religious, but I'm fascinated by some of those cultures and some of those traditions. And I'm going to give you three ways of looking at what I might mean by mastering the mind, so that you can improve the quality of your life and so that you can create your own reality. That sounds like, again, mystical stuff. Like that can't happen, but it can, because that's all we're doing every day. We're creating our own reality. So the yogis said that we are the creators of our own reality. Predating even that, the shamans said that we go about dreaming our life into being. But like more of a modern day thing, and some of you might find this more useful if you're like very new to spirituality and all those, like, oh, I don't know what I, I'm not an ancient yogi, how is that relevant to me? Like a more modern day psychology version of it would be whatever you focus on becomes your reality. That's the same thing as the yogis were saying. We are the creators of our own reality. The shaman said we dream our life into being. And modern day psychologists, using NLP, for example, would say whatever you consistently focus on becomes your reality. And I think if you think about, whatever you are experiencing in your life right now, if you are going through a hard time, for example, if you like, things are tough, then I suggest that you created that. I know that might sound harsh, and you might be saying, even, how dare you say that? This isn't my fault. But it's good to take responsibility for what we've created. We are constantly creating our reality. There is no fixed reality. Quantum physics can tell us that there isn't a fixed reality that we all see. We all perceive reality differently, because we're constantly creating it based on our beliefs, our ideas of who we are, of what we can achieve, our limitations. And by going into that meditative state, we can start to change that. We can start to recreate it. And we can do that by telling ourselves a different story. Okay, so we might have a story about who we are and what we can do based on what's happened in the past. And sometimes I've worked with people with trauma, and they've been through terrible, terrible things that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I've heard some horrible, terrible, sad stories. And the thing is that there's nothing you can do to change that. You cannot change the past. But the powerful thing is you can change your story of it. You can't change it, but you can change the way you think about it. And that is when we start to create our own reality. Like, what reality do you want? Do you want to live in the reality where you're a victim? Or do you want to live in a reality where you are victorious? That is about making a choice. It's making a big decision that you are no longer willing to accept being a victim anymore. Yeah, that stuff happened to me and it was horrific. But you know what? I'm still here now. I'm going stronger than ever. I've overcome it, and I'm going to change the story about it rather than like, oh, woe is me. It's a terrible thing. I never want that to happen again. You've learned from that experience, and that is about like creating your reality by changing the story. And it's much, 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 much easier to do that when you are in a deep meditation, because otherwise your conscious mind will interrupt and you'll start to kind of beat yourself up about it, and you'll start to analyze it too much, and you start to think about it like, wow, really, is this real, or is this just mystical rubbish stuff? Yet when you're in a meditative state, um it's a lot easier. You kind of get out of your own way. So we are going to finish, I'm glad to say, with another guided meditation. And at the end, you can ask questions. You can go over any of the bits that I mentioned there. I want you to be really clear on the things that I've discussed with you, and we can perhaps have a little overview of some of the things that you can put into practice every day, because I want you to feel inspired after this next meditation to start to make it part of your, hopefully, a daily routine, but at least regularly. A meditation isn't something just to do as a one-off thing. It's something to practice. It's something to do eventually every day. So, as we did earlier, take your time to find your comfortable position again. I would suggest lying down once more, maybe putting your headphones on again. Finding that comfortable position. And it's always nice to close your eyes. This kind of meditation we're going to keep it a little bit shorter, but I've used this meditation for myself personally recently. I've had a very chaotic and busy time recently, believe it or not. With being locked down, you might think I've been quieter, but things have been a little bit chaotic for me. And I found last week this meditation so beneficial. And what we're going to do in this meditation, we're going to find three friends. Okay, I'm going to call them friends. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. So, as we did earlier, we're just going to be aware of our breath. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Finding that state of relaxation. Relaxing your body and being aware of your breath. No need to try too hard, and there's no need to try to change anything. Just be gentle with yourself and enjoy the process. Just go with it and relax. There's nothing to do here. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to change. Just simply going to be. the thoughts come, let them come. If there's noises and distractions, let them come. Everything is okay. All is well. And I'm going to invite you to your first friend. The first friend we're going to meet is stillness. You're going to notice and pay attention to the sense of stillness in your body. And when you still your body, so your mind will follow. Your mind will start to become still. So your body is completely still. You just might have a little bit of movement in the belly, rising and falling like waves. But everything else is completely still. Notice that stillness. Notice how the stillness of your body affects the stillness of your mind. We're going to invite in our second friend. The second friend that we're going to invite in is quiet. Sense of being quiet. And I know that you can hear my voice and you can hear music. But in between there is still a sense of quietness. If there was no quiet, you wouldn't be able to hear my voice. You require that contrast. There is a sense of quietness that you can locate now using your mind's eye. You might notice a sense of quietening your mind, quietening your thoughts. They still may be present, but they just seem a little quieter right now, where they're not going to trouble you. They're just thoughts. That sense of inner quiet. Now we can invite in our third friend, and that is the sense of inner peace. By being still and noticing that sense of quiet, we can allow peace to enter our body. Feeling that sense of inner peace. And seeing if you can just let go of all those ideas and concepts that we've been carrying around. And quite often, probably none of them are actually serving us right now. Certainly some of them won't be. We can just let them go. Just for a moment, you can always come back to them. And those conflicts and those strong opinions we might have about someone or something, just allow them to dissolve. Again, they're just thoughts, they're just ideas, they're not the reality. And if you can put them to the side, you will be flooded with this sense of inner peace. Take a short moment to reflect on how many times you invite these three friends in to your busy lives. How often do you take the time to be still or to be quiet or to find that sense of inner peace? I'll always be there for you. You can come back to this sense of stillness, quiet, and peace anytime you like. Anytime you might be struggling or feel you need support, you know that you can come back to your three friends. Bringing your awareness back to your breath and being aware now more of your exhale. And as we did earlier, allowing that exhale to ground you back down to your chair or to the floor, wherever you're lying or sitting. Bringing the awareness back into the room. Slowly bring in awareness to your fingertips and toes. Give them a wiggle. And slowly taking all the time you need, make your way back up in front of your screen, ready to ask any questions. I'm here now, ready to answer any questions that you might have. I'm ready to receive any feedback that you might like to give me. Again, take your time. There's no need to rush. You might be feeling really sleepy right now, so just take your time to make your way back up. I've really enjoyed sharing some tips, some little stories and anecdotes with you. I hope you enjoyed it as well, guys. And I'm ready whenever you are to listen to your questions and feedback. I hope you enjoyed.
So we have had, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have had a question come in. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thanks for that. That was incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so we've had a question come in asking, does it matter what time of day you do these practices?
Yes and no, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So everyone will have a different time to meditate that will suit them better. So it's about experience and it's about trying different things. You can meditate at any time, obviously, but we all have different circadian rhythms. So some people are like myself. This is my time right now. I'm more active on the night. I'm more creative on the night. Other people are more active in the morning. So you would do it at a time where you are less active. So for me, the morning is better because the nighttime I come alive. So it's better to do your meditation when you feel a little bit calmer. I do mine generally. I mean, I do a couple of meditations a day, but I usually do the first one in the morning, and that's usually my deep meditation. Um, a very common one is to do the meditation before you go to bed, which again can be nice, especially if you have trouble getting to sleep. But more often than not, what happens then is you just end up going to sleep and then like, you're no longer meditating, as I said earlier. So just be aware of that. If you do your meditation before you go to bed, it can be nice, but also it can be too easy just to fall asleep. So it's just to summarize the question again, summarize the answer rather. It's about finding the best time that works for you, the time of day where you feel most relaxed and most calm, and you've got the least amount of stuff going on. You know, if you know that I've got 10 minutes to meditate and I've got to shoot off to a meeting, it's probably not the best time to do it. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that was really good. Somebody's asked, about the type of music, and particularly that last piece of music, really resonated with them. Does that type or style, etc., have an effect? Do you experience something?
Yes, 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 it does. So just remember that you don't always need music. Music is just a tool that we can use, but it can be very they can be very powerful tools using music. It's good to experience a meditation without music, knowing that you can do it without anyone guiding you and without any music. But yeah, I mean, you can go on a rabbit hole with tones and sounds and things like binaural beats, um, and different frequencies that will affect you. Um, there's someone on this chat actually who would be able to answer this much better than I could. A guy called Mark, he's a good friend of mine. But there's different frequencies, like sound baths and gongs, that will create different frequencies, which can affect different parts of your body as well. It can put you into different brainwave states. So definitely the music is really important. As you could go, for example, and a really easy one would be just to go onto YouTube. There's loads of free stuff on there. So you could do a search for a guided meditation, with binaural beats, for example, might be a good one. Or frequency meditation or sound meditation, and just experience different things, see what works for you. What works for me is either very long drones, like somebody going just something very subtle like that, or I also like the tribal stuff, which is very similar to that last track that we just played, with sounds of the rainforest in the background and tribal drums. I don't want to go into too much detail now because I'm aware of time, but the drum beat, a monotonous drum beat, is another method of changing your state of consciousness. That repetitive drum at a fast pace like this is what the shamans use to induce a change in consciousness. What that does, it interrupts your thought patterns. It doesn't give you the chance to get lost in thought. It's just like bump, 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 bump. And you can have a very powerful experience. So if you want to look at something like that on YouTube, if you search for shamanic meditation or shamanic journey, you'll find lots of kind of tribal stuff, which I find very powerful.
That's brilliant. Somebody also asked, you talked about meditation is ideal to slow down panicked or anxious thoughts, but how does it help if you're already maybe in a depressive or low mood where your thoughts are already slow?
Okay, that's a really good question, actually. I think that for that, being mindful and doing mindfulness meditation would be really important, because what that would do is, as I said earlier, it will keep bringing you back to the present moment. And I'm very aware sometimes that I like to simplify things. Being a teacher, I always look at how can I simplify something. And sometimes I'm aware that I might simplify things too much. And I don't mean to make this sound like I don't too simplistic, for want of a better word. But generally, people who are depressed, yeah, they might have a lower brainwave state, but they're generally depressed. I'm making a huge generalization here. I'm aware of that, but generally, they will be people who would dwell a lot on the past. They dwell on things that have happened to them. So by engaging in mindfulness meditation, what you are doing is you're initially forcing yourself to come into the present moment, and you have a realization that actually I'm okay now. That thing was something that happened in the past, but now I'm okay. And I know it sounds like, really, can that really happen? But it can with training. And again, it's a generalization that people who are depressed dwell in the past. But that's about the best I can answer that one. I think that mindfulness meditation would be very good, a good thing to do. And I want to actually finish with that thing that I said earlier, that if you take care of now, tomorrow will take care of itself. That's something I'd like, a little saying that I'd like you to keep with. If you take care of now, tomorrow will take care of itself.
Brilliant. Thank you. There's a few, someone's asked about if you're incredibly relaxed though, can you get going again soon after? I would be worried that I would be on go slow afterwards.
Yes, that's why doing, choosing the time of day is important. I should have mentioned that earlier as well. So if you do your meditation and you find that a bit, sleepy afterwards, then you might want to do it at a time when you haven't got to do something active afterwards. But another really good thing to do, if you, let's say that you want to get straight onto something after your meditation and you need to wake up again, there's a couple of things that I'm going to suggest. So you could do some I'm sure a lot of people are aware of somebody called Wim Hof. If you go onto YouTube and search for Wim Hof, he does this style of breathing that is very fast, and really does it's the opposite really of what slowing down the brain waves do and the meditation that we've just done. It will make you feel stimulated. It will make you feel alive. It will make you feel vibrant. It will fill your body full of energy. Um, that's a Wim Hof breathing, or any kind of fast breathing, just breathing in and out through the mouth, like that will stimulate you. That will get you going again. And the last thing I'm going to suggest, which is something that you can do really fast, if you go onto YouTube, I think you'll find it. It's called shaking medicine, and all you do is you bounce up and down onto your heels, and that vibrates your body, and you sync your breathing with. So every time your heels land on the floor, you're going, so your whole body gets a shake up, and it like wakes you up. It stimulates your mind. It stimulates your body. It gets your heart pumping. That's called shaking medicine. That's a really good thing to get you going after a meditation if you want to.
I mean, that's brilliant. And what we'll do is we'll get you to sort of share back with us all those kind of YouTube examples, and we'll share them back with
Yes.
everybody who's on now.
Yeah.
I think that's probably answered the last question that came in as well about working out and feeling tired after. But
Yeah.
somebody else is asking about is it helpful with recovery? So we've got a lot of athletes on here as well. Someone wanted to know if it's helpful for recovery.
It absolutely is, yes, again, because what we're doing, and remember the terminology I use, the medical terminology, if you like, when we go into that meditative state, we are activating our parasympathetic nervous system. But what that actually means is we're activating rest and restore. And when we're in rest and restore, we have the ability to heal ourselves. And again, these words are, I use them carefully because a lot of people think about healing as, again, just something that's very woo woo. But when you are in that relaxed state of being and you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system, we will have the ability to heal yourself, because you will basically start to boost your immune system. When we're constantly in the state of fight or flight, what happens is, think about what that means. You're in fight or flight. Ancestors would have been ready to run from a lion, perhaps, or run ready to, they're hunting and they're ready to go, fight or flight. They want to catch their dinner. All of the blood gets pumped out into the extremities, into the arms, into the legs, ready so that you can run, or ready so that you can fight or defend yourself. If you live most of your life in that state of fight or flight, which unfortunately a lot of us do because we're so stressed, all of the internal organs are in the middle here, and the blood is getting pushed out into the extremities. There's not enough blood circulation and flow in the internal organs for you to repair yourself, for your immune system to function properly. And you will be full of cortisol, adrenaline, all the stress hormones. That's not the right environment to encourage healing. You're not going to heal yourself when you are in fight or flight. The healing will take place when you are in a meditative state.
Brilliant. I think that's answered all the questions that have come in sort of on the chat. I'll open it up to the sort of people who are watching, if anyone wants to actually use their words and speak now after such a great event. If anyone's got any questions now is the time to sort of throw them in.
Don't be shy, guys. Come and ask away.
Did anybody else lose track of time during the first meditation in particular?
Yeah, I did massively.
Yeah.
Such a strange sensation.
Does anybody want to comment on the first meditation, like anything that they might have felt? Like some people, for example, can have an emotional release, because a lot of people just don't take the time to be still and quiet. And I've experienced people in classes who just have a little cry, for example. I'd be interested to know if anyone experienced anything like that, or any other sensations.
Nice to be reminded of gratitude. So it was
Okay.
nice to, you
Nice.
don't generally on a day-to-day basis think of that when you're rushing around and busy. So when you're taking the time.
That's good. I'm glad. Good. So you start to introduce that into your daily practice, maybe.
Yep.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
I know I definitely. Oh, sorry, go on, Alexa.
No, go on. It's okay.
No, it's okay.
It wasn't about that meditation. It was a different question. That's why I was saying go. It's fine.
No, carry on. You're right.
So I've practiced Buddhism for like 5 or 6 years now, and as part of that, we do morning and evening gonyo, and we chant. And like as part of the chanting, you focus on things that you want or to help other people, and it's sort of like it's called sending daimoku, but it's like good vibes to people. And it sort of feels a bit like when you are meditating. Would you say it's the same, or would you say it's different with the visualization and things like that? Or
I think it's just another form of meditation, but all of the same benefits that you might reap from the meditations that we did tonight, you will be experiencing those. All you're doing is like you're having a different perspective. You know, you're sending your energy out there to other people, and that can, I mean, that in itself can be a nice thing to do, regardless of whether you do it in a meditation or whether you just do it consciously. You know, it's a nice thing to do, to send positive vibes and love out to people, regardless of who they are. But all of the other things that come with it, you know, the sense of activating your parasympathetic nervous system, slowing down your brain waves and all that, that will still be happening in that meditation. I think that was did I get the gist of your question right? Does that answer it okay?
yeah, that was it. It was just basically asking if it was similar, because you do, as I was laying and doing the guided meditation, it did give me sort of the same sort of feelings
Mhm.
of just relaxing. I mean, my mind does wander a little bit whilst I'm doing it, and I have to remember to bring it back, but it
Yeah.
does the same when I'm chanting sometimes. So obviously you are using words rather than this was obviously just listening. You are using words when you're chanting, but yeah, it was perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the question as well.
And Andy, just in terms of there was lots of information there, lots of examples of meditations and mindfulness. There's going to be people on here who are probably beginners and have taken all that information in, but are not sure, maybe as a start point, what maybe success would look like as to get moving on something. So I guess, just very simply, what should they start with?
What would they start with in terms of like creating a meditation practice?
Correct.
Is
Yeah.
that what you meant? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Experiment with finding the right time of day for you, and it's the best way to experience this is, as Saint Nike said, just do it. So stop thinking about it, stop reading about it, stop wondering about it, and just do it. A meditation isn't something to philosophize about, and although I love talking about it, the only way you're going to get good at it and the only way you're going to get the benefits of it is by doing it. So you know, start it tomorrow. Just do it. And even if, you know, what can go wrong really? If it goes wrong, all you're going to do is get up and try again another time. Nothing really can go wrong. You might, you know, experience some moments where you feel frustrated because you keep getting lost in thought, but you're just going to keep doing it and try to make it joyful. So I know that seems really simplistic advice, but you've just got to do it. You have to like get to, you have to make a decision, I guess, would be another way of looking at it. Like, do I want to, what's my goal with meditation? Do I want to feel inner peace? Do I want to start doing visualizations for a particular goal? Like, you've got to make that decision. Like, you know what, I really want to do that, so I'm going to choose to do my meditation every day. You've got to make that decision, and then, as Saint Nike said, just do it.
So just to echo what you said there is, there's a client who's in one of our groups, and she's on here actually. She literally went through what you've just described in the last like couple of weeks. She got very, very frustrated with the first couple of times. And then I had a call with her last week, and she's like, "You're going to be so happy, Ross. I've had a breakthrough moment." And it was just literally, it had gone from, and it wasn't like anything sort of earth shattering, but for her, it was a moment where she wasn't frustrated with it, and she was able to be present in that moment. And it didn't last as long as maybe she wanted to, but it was definitely a step. And it was just, and that's what we've been talking about, is just do it, just keep going back. And I think it was maybe the third or fourth one, she just had a little sort of glimpse of what it could be like, and that's then enough to then go back the next time and go after more of that. So yeah, definitely, I've seen, I've
Nice.
experienced that myself, but yeah, definitely seen it like firsthand recently or secondhand with this lady as well.
Very nice.
Anybody else got any questions they want to put in? I mean, people have put on the talk about how it made them feel quite emotional. I can definitely sort of second that for myself. There was moments where you just have that, and someone's put here, it's nice to be reminded that stillness and calm is already in us, and
Yeah.
not something special that we need to try and get from elsewhere.
Mhm.
And I think for a lot of people, we do talk about it in the groups about kind of it starts with us and what we're about. And I think to hear that from you, but coming from a very different sort of perspective, was really, really good to see.
Excellent.
Someone's asked for the name of the second song, or if there's some like links or something you could share to that type of.
Yes, I have a workbook to share with you guys with some of the exercises that we've done and some things which will prompt you to write down some of your experiences, which I'm sure will get emailed to you. I will amend it and I will put the links to all, some of the tracks on there and some of the people I've mentioned, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, so you can look at some of the studies that are cited. So yeah, I'll add that to the workbook.
Brilliant. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be some other stuff coming in, and I'm sure we'll have some more questions coming to us, and we'll forward them on to you. And the follow-up email will address everything we just talked about there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm massively grateful for that experience for myself tonight, and I'm sure the rest of the people in the group are. Anybody else got anything?
Can I just ask one more?
Of course
How
you
do you
can.
go about activating your third eye when you're meditating?
Oh, there's a good one. Okay, now we're getting into the juicy stuff now.
Because I
Um,
really struggle with that a little bit.
okay. I'll try and give you a shorter answer. It could be a very long answer here, but I'll give you the short version. And if you want to know if you're serious about doing it, then I'm going to give my details out as well, and you can contact me, and we can kind of go and put a practice together if you want to, because it does require quite a lot of stuff. I don't know how much you know about it, but usually most people live in the West who drink fluoridated water and fast foods and stuff like that will probably calcify our pineal gland, which is going to be very hard to activate it. So there will be particular types of diet that you can follow, which will help to decalcify it. Lots of kind of daily practices you can do. For example, focusing on the space between your eyebrows in a meditation and tapping this place, the space between your eyebrows can help. I'll say I'm putting a caution on this, like terms and conditions. Research this first before you do it, because if you have high blood pressure, I don't recommend doing it. If you have any like heart conditions, then don't do this. So only do this if you're really healthy and well. I'm briefly explaining it now, and again, contact me if you want to know more details. You would take a sharp inhale of breath, and then hold your breath at the top, pull your belly button in, which in yoga is called Uddiyana Bandha. What you do, you know the famous pictures where the yogis hollow out their belly. What you're doing,
Yeah.
you're holding the breath, hollowing out your belly, and then you engage your pelvic floor muscle as well. You squeeze that, which is your Mula Bandha, and you create the sensation of forcing energy up your spine into the middle of your head. So as you're doing this, you're holding your breath, you're squeezing your belly in, you're squeezing your pelvic floor muscle. You focus on that space between your eyebrows. And what you'll start to see like maybe a white dot, which might turn into a bigger dot or different colors. Just be careful and don't hold for too long the first time if you're going to do it. Don't squeeze too hard. You can feel dizzy. I've known people pass out with people who've done it for too long. So, I'm putting a bit of a caution on that. Don't just rush into it. Research it or contact me and I can talk you through it safely. But that's one method of doing it. But diet and other kind of how healthy you are will come into play as well.
Thank you.
Great question.
I think Andy, I probably just say to everyone that if you need to dive off, and I know that you'll stay and sort of answer any questions for those that want to talk.
Of course, yep.
And don't feel, and nobody feel obliged to stay on. I really appreciate everyone taking the time out to get involved, and hope it's been as good as I thought it was.
Great, thank you.
Andy, what would you say is the difference between sort of like a Western take on meditation versus like a traditional, like Buddhist, not whether it's religious or not is a different question, but like a traditional practice of meditation as a spiritual practice that they might, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That what's the difference between, you know, I'm going to sit and meditate once a morning and I'm living my life,
Yeah,
versus sort of like, I suppose, the roots of it and doing it in a much more, you know, I don't know, as a bigger part of your life. Like
yeah.
what's the difference? And yeah.
Wow, that's a really great question. Essentially, looking from the outside, it's just the same, because it's just looking at people with their eyes closed, and you don't know what's going on inside their own head. But probably very different things are going on. So in the West, we have things like, you know, there's the biggest downloaded meditation app is called Headspace. Most people have heard of that, and it's very useful, but it's also very non-spiritual, and that's not good or bad. It's just the way it is. A lot of people, I think, in the West, well, not so much nowadays. More people are embracing spirituality, I think, but a lot of people also look at it as just, oh, well, what, you know, it's just a load of rubbish. I don't know what it is. So a lot of popular meditation apps tend to stay clear of anything spiritual, and it's more about, like, you know, focused on goal setting, or focused on, you know, well-being, which is it's still good. The traditional kind of meditation, and meditation, if you like, in the East, or in Buddhism or Hinduism or any of the other kind of Eastern religions, would be very much more spiritual, and I think they probably ask deeper questions that in the West we might be scared to ask. Like, one of the deepest questions you can ever really ask yourself is, who am I? Which might sound really surface level stuff, like, well, what do you mean, who am I? I'm me. But, you know, if any of you have ever really examined that question, which you would often do it in a, if you like, Eastern ancient meditation, like, you would ask yourself in a meditation, who am I? And what you might find is, you are God. In other words, there is no separation. There is just the universe. The universe is this process that happened, and we are not on the universe separate. We are that process. We are the universe expanding. We are part of that. And in that way, we're all connected and we're all one. We're not these little separate beings that just somehow arrived in the universe. And yeah, you will discover that kind of deep understanding through a spiritual based Eastern meditation. You will ask, who am I? And that's very different from like a Headspace app where you're just like, oh, I feel calm and relaxed.
Yeah.
And both are good.
Yeah, I suppose I had a bit of a wariness about the kind of Western take on it, that we've kind of like just watered down what was originally a spiritual practice, if you see what I mean. So I was interested, because I've always been a bit wary of that kind of stuff. Like, you know, you're not really sort of using what it was originally intended to do, although you might benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's not perhaps, you know, what it was originally sort of for. You're, you know, eating the scraps off the table, not.
Yeah. I think that is pretty much like everything in our society. Things get stolen and adapted and watered down, and I think meditation is one of those things. Like, a lot of people say, yeah, I do meditation, but as I referred to at the start of answering your question, you know, you could just be sitting there with your eyes closed. Doesn't mean that you're meditating, you know. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people do get caught up in that trap. They'll say, yeah, I do 5-minute meditation every morning, and all they're doing really is just sitting with their eyes closed, you know. I think that's probably what you're suggesting there, and I tend to agree as well. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome. Good questions, guys.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course you can.
Visualization.
Yeah.
Right. I use that in races, but before, you know, visualize before, after, whatever, you know, through the race. But in daily life, it seems a bit harder, I suppose. You know, I suppose we dream about work next day and what's going to happen, but when it actually comes to it, it's completely different. Do you know what I mean? But in a race, it's sort of visualizing. It's different.
Okay.
So how could you use that practice in a sense in a daily life?
So how could you? So it's about being really okay. Let's have a look at it like this. You set the intention for what your visualization is. Like, why do you want to do it? You got to set the intention
Yeah,
for the visualization. What and how much do you want it? Like, what are you visualizing for? Is it just And then you have to hold your attention there, so that your intention and then attention. So you have to remind yourself of it. Like, it's no good thinking, I want to do visualization, and then you only do it like once a month. You have to hold your attention on that thing that you want. And then the third thing is you've got to take action on it. Like I said, Nike, just do it. So you have to put the time aside to specifically do that visualization. So intention, attention, and action. And if you get good at it, it will happen. It depends on how good your imagination is as well. If you have a very vivid imagination, and if you can see it, the more clearly you can create it, the more chance it is that you're going to make it happen. You will find ways to do it by creating that visualization and holding it really strong. Some terms that I throw around that some people just like tut or roll their eyes when I say it, but when you understand it, it is true that if you can see your future, you can create your future. Because otherwise, the future just happens to you. But if you're specific about it, if you can see your future, I believe you can create it, and you do that in being very vivid with your visualization.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've heard it like in different forms, but yeah, it does. Hear it, speak it, and thinking it as well. All same things. Yeah. Good. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks for tonight. It was great.
Good. Glad you
enjoyed it.
Good.
It took me back to yoga.
Brilliant.
The end of the session, and you drift off and snooze. Yeah,
that's great. Good.
Yeah, the missus did next to me as well. She's never done it, so it was good.
Excellent. Good. Thank you.
But I do use it now of a night, and in the mornings, different ones, just for work or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I do some daily stuff, and then obviously, like you said, I'm in a rush. I don't bother, but I don't feel guilty about it. I just get off, do what I got to do, and then roll on to the next day.
Good. Sounds like you've got a good regular practice there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Try to.
Good.
Try to.
Good. And remember, it's a practice. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't get beat yourself up if it doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway, thanks for everything.
You're welcome.
Great. Enjoyed it.
Good.
I think that question from Mal around sort of bringing it into everyday life, I think that's probably something we could all relate to. We can be specific about stuff, but finding that moment where you can bring it to everyday life. I know myself, it's a lot of racers do that for sort of different parts of their event and stuff, and I think it's easier to put it into that sort of context, but then like Mal said, it's harder to put it into real life, and then when you do, it feels a bit weird. And I think at every point now, I'm sure people on here will have been able to relate to that. But I know I have those moments as well. But it's a really, really good question. Really great answer as well.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Right.
Well, I'm going to shoot off. Thank you for everything. Off.
Thank you for taking part. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, brilliant. Enjoyed it. Going to try and sleep now.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, John, Ross, everybody. Great.
I think if anyone wants to sort of hang on to the end and ask Andy a direct question, great. I think if not, we'll sort of formally wrap everything up, and got to wrap up the evening now. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, big thanks to everybody, and thank you, Andy, as well. But we'll see you stays on, because I'm sure there'll be some more questions.
Yes. Good. Bring them on.
I think, Andy, my mom has just texted me and said, very interesting. And she's the biggest critic of herself.
No way. Oh, yeah. That's brilliant. That's good. Success.
Absolutely. So Mal's not on, so I know Alexa's on. Mal.
Sorry.
So,
I'll go if you.
No.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh
No,
no,
at all.
I was just listening to see if there's any other stuff. Like I was just thinking though, like one of the things that I find, so basically like as practicing Buddhism, like I'm part of a group there's different parts like in areas of all over the country, and like they're split into like female and male, so you can talk about current issues or whatever else, and it's really good because like you find that you're working through things that you've got to ask, or like you can ask other people in the group like what you're going through or things that you have to face, and like you meditate together and stuff for answers. um but one thing that I found important, that like when you were saying about you've got to take the highs and lows, but what I had like a bit of a mindset change where like I was meditating quite a bit, and I was having like I'd had like some really bad things happen and stuff, and I found that from looking at everything as a lesson, no matter how bad something was, or like if somebody passed away and stuff, those people came into your life for a reason and they taught you a lesson of some kind. And it's about taking the value of like something that's happened and what you've learned from that experience. Because like you said, like I know it's so easy to dwell on like the bad things that happen and stuff. And I think it's so important as well to like see the lessons that you can learn and teach yourself from that experience as well.
Yep. I totally agree. Absolutely. Yeah. What a really simple way of putting it is welcome all of life's experiences. There's a verse out of a salutation that I do in martial arts, and it starts off with that. It's like, welcome all of life's experiences. And that can be quite hard for people who are going through a hard time. But
Yeah.
anyone that's been through a hard time will look back at some point and hopefully look back and say, oh, wow, I've really grown from that, or I've really learned from that. It's hard to see it at the time, but again,
Yeah,
that's why training the mind is important. You can remind yourself in the moment
yeah,
that one day this is going to be a valuable lesson.
exactly. I think when you've hit bottom or you've had like a really hard time, when you look back at that, you think, well, my life is never going to be as hard as it was at that point.
Yeah.
And then it's taking something away. Well, if I can deal with that, then I can deal with the next thing. And I
Hmm.
think meditating is so important for that, because like if you're having a bad day, it's like Ross and people taught us on like a mastermind group when they mentioned meditation and stuff, that it's checking in with your emotions the day before, because I think a lot of us fail to do that and we just muddle through and get on.
Yeah.
And that's what I picked up from Ross and Jono's mastermind session, which was really important. Like you don't think of that, but it is so important to acknowledge those feelings and meditate it and ask yourself those questions.
Hmm. I agree. Cool.
Right.
All went quiet and weird then, didn't it?
Yeah, Abby just opened the door and went, really good.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I think
Excellent, guys.
that's definitely gone down well.
Yeah,
That's good.
it blows my mind, Andy. That's the second time I've done a meditation with you, and I've lost track of all time.
Ah.
Really.
Love it. Oops. Brilliant. Oops. Lost my camera.
So
Yeah,
There we go.
I had a moment in that the second part of the first meditation where I think you described it as being close to like the sleep state, but I wasn't even laid down, but I was sat in this chair, but I was looking down on my body, laid down, looking at different parts of my body that you were talking about. It was mad. Yeah, it was like really, really, really cool. Like I said to you before, though, this has come perfectly, like perfectly in sort of my life from a very selfish perspective. This has landed perfectly. It's just reminded me so much. I've not been meditating at all since I've been here. I've not been meditating at all, but I have been spending 10 minutes with my thoughts when I'm in the water in the morning. So I kind of had been meditating, but just hearing that music, like I said when we went through the brief earlier, just hearing that music just completely set off an absolute mindful of like emotions and like a response. And then when you got into it, it was just, it couldn't have felt more natural. And this feels really weird, just like sitting and telling you how great it was. But it really,
that's good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
That's
really
good.
good. Yeah, really good.
Brilliant. That's good. So good to hear. Good. It's funny. I've been in a similar position myself. I've been so busy with various things, like a busy fool though, to be honest, recently. And although I've been doing my meditating, I slightly kind of not lost the love for it, but just wasn't feeling it as deeply as I previously have. And then it was about a week and a half ago, I kind of come up with the idea of finding those three friends, the stillness and the quiet and the peace.
Really, that was Andy. Really
That's good. And that really helped me a couple of weeks ago. And I thought, well, I'll turn that into a guided meditation. And
cool. Really like that. Was it stillness?
Quiet.
And peace.
and inner peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really. Do you know what? When you were doing that, when I was talking about it, I've been recently looking at new tattoo ideas for my arm,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I've envisioned those 3 words on my arm.
Whoa.
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. As
Wow.
part of something else, but I just envisioned them
Yep.
just on the inside of my arm here, just really
Wow.
bizarrely when you were talking about that.
Wow.
Yeah, really bizarre.
I'm getting I've actually got it booked, and I'm getting a big Buddha on my left hip.
Wow.
Nice.
And the lotus flowers, because we follow the Lotus Sutra. So yeah, it's
Oh,
exciting. But
that's great.
when we were doing the first meditation, the second part, I keep wandering to my third eye, and it really like annoys me when I'm trying to do general, because like I start looking up and I can see like the white dot, but then
Yeah.
like it's really like weird because I can't describe it. But then on the second meditation, I don't know if it's because of something that I'd watched recently, but when you were saying like the stillness, I pictured like I was out, it sounds really stupid, but I was out of my body looking down on me, and I was like in water, and like that's
Okay.
all I could see. So there was just water around me, and it was really weird, but it was
Oh,
really enjoyable.
excellent. Now, do you feel that you actually had an out of body experience, or was it just a
Yeah,
visualization?
like I think it was my I don't know, like it's hard to tell the two apart sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you go really deep into a meditation. Like I think because I'd done the third eye stuff as well before, I think that made the second part me fall into it a lot more, because then I was just picturing just floating, like I was still in the same clothes as what I'm wearing. It was just like I was just there. It was really bizarre, but
Wow.
really enjoyable. So, but I've done
Excellent.
that before, and it's really weird. But I used to do it a lot when I was young, apparently. Like, I'd have dreams, and my family found it really weird because I knew stuff that nobody had ever told anybody.
Ah,
And
wow.
I'd picture it and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Obviously, like you were saying, children naturally sometimes go into that meditative state.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mhm.
very weird.
I had that in common. I used to do a lot of out of body experiences when I was a lot younger without knowing really what they were, and a lot of lucid dreams as well. That's what actually got me, like, I remember reading a book about lucid dreaming, I don't know, maybe about 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, hang on a minute. I used to do this like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have one about flying down the stairs.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I used to start, yeah, I used to fly down the stairs, and then I would then be at the bottom of the stairs. So, and my parents were like, oh, you must have like walked there in your sleep, you know, like just when I
Yeah.
was younger, but I would appear at the bottom of the stairs. But in my mind, I'd flown down the stairs. It
Wow.
was really, I've just had some really cool messages come through as well. So one of the guys who jumped on, who's a bootneck, who's a Marine when I'm out here with me, and he's put, awesome, mate, really enjoyable. He said, I don't know what it was about that last piece of music, but it really got me.
Wow.
Also very reassuring to realize that I've been finding the right states in my own practice. I'm on the right lines. But yeah, he thinks the visualization is going to be something he was going to get into more.
Oh, love it. That's so good.
Yeah, so really, really, really good.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so happy. Good.
Yes.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Alexa, you might want to connect with Andy.
Yeah,
He's on Instagram. I've done some one-on-one stuff with him in the past around like different things to do with like training and racing stuff. So some of the stuff we've been talking about might be useful for you. And Andy is a wizard, basically. He's a real life wizard.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You've now got my wizard status as well. I kind of like I giggled earlier when John called you a wizard. I was like, yeah, he's a wizard.
I hope this bit's still being recorded.
It is. It's still being recorded. I've not stopped it yet, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for the testimonials, guys. I appreciate it.
No,
All right.
You can now add that to his Instagram. Also,
Yeah.
wizard.
Also known as a wizard.